solutions in the form of frameworks. So there would be a framework that had the right security behaviors. And if you use the framework, then most of the common errors wouldn't happen because you were using the framework that was reasonably well designed. And then you'd have things like best practice guidance, and then you'd have testing on the other side. So some of the vendors would have you couldn't, for example, use credit cards on your site unless you passed a PCI test, that kind of stuff. So you have a level of testing. And then what you end up with is you no longer need a security engineer to build this stuff. You can use JavaScript engineers. And there are many more JavaScript engineers. And actually, they tend to build better, more usable products in the sense that they're much closer to the user's mindset than the security engineers often are. So it means it's a win all round. So that informs where I ended up with at Pipe. I mean, so we kind of mooched through all this, and I realized that actually there was a thing here that needed doing, and that actually somebody might pay for. So as an example of that, I'm going to show you the code to build a... Let's see if we can get this into a mode where you can actually see what it's doing. Presentation mode. Gone completely. Oh, there we go. Right. So this is 60 lines of HTML and JavaScript, which is a complete webcam. So we start off with, you need a canvas. You need somewhere to put this image at the end. So we create a canvas of some size. And we also create an image, because we're going to store an image somewhere and do some manipulation on it. And then once the page is loaded, we need to find out who we are. So we go and ask what actually will become called the Pipe SDK, but at the moment it's called Ipsorama for historical reasons. And once you know who you are, you then go off and do something. And what we do is do a little bit of setting up. We go and find a graphics context that's associated with this camera element we created down here. And we store it. And we associate also with the image, when the onload comes, we'll draw into that context, that graphics context. So we've done that. Now we'll go off and talk to the rendezvous server. Just open a WebSocket to the rendezvous server. And once we've got a rendezvous server, we go and talk to the, let's say, Pipe API and say, hey, here's your connection to the rendezvous server, and this is my identity. And then you ask it, who are my friends? Now, the nice thing is that my friends are stored locally. I'm not asking the rendezvous server who my friends are. I have stored them locally in the local DB. So I can ask them privately who my friends are. And having found this list, I'm actually, simplification, I'm going to say that I'm going to speak to the last one I added. So end of the list, because that's a nice example. So I've done that, and this is actually the most interesting line in the whole thing. Having done that, we asked the Pipe service to create me a link between here and the other guy with the attribute of a camera. So what I'm saying is I want to talk to the camera on my Raspberry Pi. And having done that, I'm just going to send it a command which says read. So I send it a read command, and when I get a message back, I'll parse it, add a little bit of magic on the front which says that it's a JPEG, and set it on the image. And then I'll go and ask for another one. And that's it. That is a webcam. So with any luck, we can show you that. If I can remember how to get out of this mode. So, so this is it running that page, and with any luck, we are going, yes, we're going to go through. And there we go, we have a webcam. So this is a very dark webcam somewhere, and not. Am I on the right network? Yeah, I'm on the right network. Let's do that again. Let's move this webcam so that it's not actually facing the lights. Oh, I'm the wrong way up. There we go. Anyway, so we now have Raspberry Pi doing. It should be doing about 4 or 5 frames a second, but they seem to be on different networks. So we're getting a bit of round tripping there. But anyway, so we have that on the webcam. So what next? Oh yes, little cleanup. So oh, and I can show you what it looks like on the device as well, I think. Where are we? There we go. So there's the Raspberry Pi in focus, and I've just resetting it there. Okay, cool. So back to me, which is I am on that one. There we go. So. So you can see that actually there wasn't very much of that, right? It wasn't a hugely complicated piece of code. That's something you could get a JavaScript engineer to build, and build a much better user interface around, a much better user experience, but actually entirely doable. So what was at the other end? As I say, Raspberry Pi, PiCam, the pipe software, which is our own lightweight data channel stack, data channel only stack, which is, I think, less than a quarter of the size of the build that would be on ARM. And some scripts to generate the MJPEGs, which are just basically either AVConv if you're using a classic webcam, or Raspberry Pi Vid if you're using the Raspberry Pi webcam, which I am here. Now, a little side thing, the Pi is capable of doing H.264, but in the run-up to this, I could not get the SDP right. Like, I got the whole of the rest of the stack right, no problem, got all that fine. I could not get the right SDP incantation last week, so it's not working yet. There's no reason why it shouldn't on the Pi. Some devices won't have H.264 encoders on them. This one actually does. So in theory, it should do H.264, but for the moment, it doesn't. So I said this was a secure thing, but there wasn't any security in that show, that bit at all. I didn't mention it, right? And there's a reason for that. I mean, our users actually, they generate 2 X509 RSA 2048-bit SHA 256 self-signed certificates. They exchange them securely, and they verify them by proximity, and they create a persistent distributed web of trust PKI, which is kind of like the resurrected duckling paper, which was written by Ross Anderson. And that sounds like a really tedious thing to do. But actually, it turns out you can do all of that just by scanning a single QR code when you take the device out of the box. So I'll show you that. I should add, though, at this point, that this actually works much better on a mobile device than it does on here. That's not good. My camera's not come on. What was that bug? I'm not going to be able to show you this. My camera's not come on. Let me do that just one more time. No, I have a locked camera. Yeah, well, so I'll do that at the end. I'll reboot it and do it at the end, but I'm not rebooting in the middle of the presentation. Even I'm not that brave. Right, so anyway, it turns out you can just do it by scanning this QR code, and it immediately connects you. I will do that in a minute. Right, so actually, yes. Right, I'm going to do this on a mobile. We like a little peril, don't we? Little mild peril. Right. So you see there's the QR code, and here is my, can you read that? Yeah, there's my phone. So we do claim a new device. We show them to each other, like that. And we're connected. That was doing the full PKI exchange, the whole thing. These two now exchange certificates. They know irretrievably about each other. Phew. Right. So what that's done is it's created a simple, secure, private IoT pairing and transport, which isn't just for webcams. You can do other things with it, right? The connections are E2E encrypted. The auth is distributed, so each of these devices is its own auth server, right? So you're not trusting something in the center. And it only connects with its owners. It's using standard WebRTC. There's no magic here, right? That's a standard. That was in Chrome. And there's a minimal untrusted cloud server. The cloud server, you don't have to trust it. It doesn't hold your auth keys. It doesn't have a picture of your child's bedroom. The traffic is direct where possible, because it's WebRTC, and this is stuff that WebRTC does. There are no passwords. All of the auth is done with that key exchange. There's no passwords to set. It's a strong auth based around X509 certificate exchange. Like I say, there are no open ports. It's ICE. There are only open ports that on when it's necessary, and they're created through ICE. And the code for that webcam demo is on GitHub and pipe/webcam. Let me put myself back to the to that one. There we go. Yeah. So that's where the code is. So the API, the magic of the API, is really only that it creates a pipe from one end to the other with a really simple API, and the semantics of the pipes depends on the label that you give it. So this particular one was just like a camera with MJPEG, but it could be analog or digital inputs and outputs from an IoT device. Or it could be a local socket. So you could run some service on the device, like a Node.js agent or a link to a Bluetooth LE or something. And then it can proxy that up to your web browser. You can access local data. You can write stuff to the screen. And you can add custom extensions. And it works on a BeagleBone. It works on a Pi. It works on the Arctic. It works on Edison. And it, I hope, will work on this. I haven't tried it on the chip yet, but I now have one, so I can try it. It's in closed beta. Anyone who wants to play with it, I'd be really happy to. Particularly if you've got a Raspberry Pi, you can just work through the instructions and try it out, see what you think. Now, I have one more thing I need to do at this instant. Two things, actually. First one is to turn that off, and the other one is to warn my friend that he's about to get a call. OK, so that's all kind of cute, but it's a little bit small, right? So this thing is a sculpture by a friend of mine, Debbie Davis. It's a 15-foot star with 700 LEGs in it, which are all individually controllable by a BeagleBone. And we put the Pipe WebRTC software in it, mostly because you can. But actually, practically, it was kind of interesting because it gets to do remote monitoring, right? I can monitor that thing from my home. I don't have to trug out to Reno to find out how it's getting on. And in fact, we had it in Burning Man as well. I can remotely control it, which hopefully touch something we'll do in a minute. And I could do remote